What's something innocent you did as a child that really screwed up someone else's life? I'm not really sure if it screwed up his life. More, I think it just brought up a past he wanted to forget. But there was a kid I was friends with in middle school named Mike, and he would flinch really bad if you pretended to almost hit him. Me being a kid and not understanding how bad the world can be, I thought it was funny and messed with him all the time by pretending to hit him. Fast forward 5 or 6 years and I found out his parents beat him as a kid and he was forever traumatized by that. I'm sure I was triggering his PTSD every time I made him flinch, and ever since then I've felt so bad about it. I haven't seen him in over 5 years, but I really wish I could apologize to him for my ignorance. I was on a family vacation in Europe, at a train station, and I was like 13. On the platform, a European man asked me, a 13-year-old little American boy, if this is where the train to Paris will be arriving. I tell him yes. Train to Paris arrives, we get on and find our seats. Suddenly a few people show up and have the same seat numbers as us. Oops. We got on the 10:50 to southern France somewhere. We want the 10:55 to Paris. The whole family gets off the train. As it pulls away, I make eye contact with the man who asked if the train went to Paris. I hope he had a nice vacation. God damn, this reminds me of the most heart-wrenching story I've read on here. This one guy was describing how when he was younger he was holding his dad's friend's gun and checking it out while reassured by the owner that it wasn't loaded. The dad's friend's daughter came out of a door somewhere nearby, and the gun discharged straight at her and killed her on the spot. It was a terrifying disaster. I think the dad's friend eventually took his own life, and the families were never the same. Horrible situation and easily preventable. It's been drilled into me so that it's automatic. If I pick up a weapon, I clear it. If I hand somebody a weapon, I clear it. If I am handed a weapon, I clear it. A friend's dad did this to me where he wanted me to check out his rifle. I cleared it, and lo and behold, it was loaded. I accidentally caught my uncle cheating on my aunt, and apparently fessed up at the dinner table on Thanksgiving. I was about 6, and I don't remember the event. I remember everyone being in a rush to leave and ultimately not seeing my uncle again. I was like 8 to 9 years old and I found my cousin's Norp. Since I didn't know what it was, I asked my aunt. She asked where did I find it, and if I could find more she would give a surprise. I found like 9 magazines. The surprise was ice cream and money for the arcade. F for your cousin. Do you know what happened to the cousin? Well, I'm Mexican, so he got la chancla as a punishment. For whatever reason I took a big dirty dump on the bathroom floor at school when I was 7. The teachers asked me later what was up and I blamed it on my best friend. For some reason he admitted it was him. The administrators sent him to be mentally evaluated and he ended up on Ritalin for the next 15 years. I think your friend might have actually had problems, considering he took that for 15 years. Consider the evaluation is based on more than just one event. You may have helped him receive an early diagnosis and get on medication to help him that he otherwise wouldn't have had access to. Maybe. Remember, kids, do your best friend a favor and blame him for your shit on the bathroom floor. When I was 14, I was at my friend's house. His dad had a really nice late 60s, early 70s Chevelle, I think. My friend and I were sitting there looking at it, and talking about it, and being at that age when cars just seemed so cool I wanted to see the engine. We popped the hood and looked for a while and then slammed the hood and moved on. Well, the hood didn't latch properly, and the next time he drove it the hood flew up and he crashed the car. It was a 30-plus-year-old car at the time and a complete timepiece. His dad was going through a divorce at the time because his mom cheated on him. So this guy was just trying to enjoy his nice classic car after his wife cheated on him, and it got destroyed. I still feel fucking terrible about it. I was about 5 and my aunt was driving us somewhere late at night on the highway. I remember seeing a full moon through the window on my side and I urged my aunt to look out the window saying, "Look, look, 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 it's so big and pretty, look, look, look." She turned her head for a split second to look where I was so frantically pointing at, and in that short moment her eyes were off the road. A car slid into her lane with very little room to spare, and she ended up rear-ending it, and we got into a major accident. I remember having a few bruises and scratches on myself, but my aunt messed up her neck and back. It's been 18 years now, and she still has spinal problems. I was bullied as a youngster in elementary school, 1980s. What did I do? I bullied the loneliest kid in school. I'm sorry, Zach. We should have been friends and I resent my actions towards you. Sorry for throwing that basketball at your head while you were sleeping. Apparently be born. My cousin and I were trying to surf, which we had never done before. I couldn't paddle out past the waves because I was too small and weak. He stood behind me in waist-deep water with the intention of pushing me over the wave. The board dug into the water, and its buoyancy made it shoot back into his face. He can't see out of one eye properly now. Went fishing with my family near a river where some would float with their tubes and ice chests of beer. Well, there is a really famous cliff over this river and kids love jumping off into the river for fun. Well, a couple who were just married were floating down the river minding their own business when I was given the okay to jump. When another kid gives you the okay, you don't second guess, you just jump and have fun. Turns out, this kid didn't see the couple. I took off, jumped, and my knee directly hits the woman who was just married right in her nose. I come back up from under the water, and she's seen screaming with blood rushing down her face and into the water. I'm pretty sure I broke her nose. Breaking a nose is pretty much screwing someone's life up. Not sure if this qualifies because I don't exactly know what happened in this situation, but when I was growing up my grandma owned a bar. My mom worked there so I regularly hung out there during the day when it was basically a lunch restaurant. One of the regulars came in at about 3 or 4 p.m. and got a beer like he always did. I was joking with him and told him he should stay for a few more and enjoy the evening. He got a little sad and said, "Unfortunately, I'm too old for those kinds of things anymore, and no one wants to hang out with an old man like me." 12-year-old me didn't think anything of it and carried on about my day. My mom got off work about half an hour after the conversation with him, and we went home, picked up my dad, and went out to dinner. About halfway through dinner, my mom got a phone call from a friend at the bar. The regular had gone home and killed himself. Right after he left the bar, he went home and blew out the pilot light on his oven and laid down on his couch. His son came over to visit him later that evening and found him, but it was too late. I don't blame myself for what happened, but if I had only known, I would have stayed and told him that I wanted to hang out with him. There was an event at the community center where volunteers were helping kids sign up for summer camps. The tables were placed right in front of the vending machines. Remember this is important. Anyways, me being the impish 6-year-old I was, I had a habit of sticking my hand into every little nook and cranny on the vending machines, hoping to score a sweet quarter or something. Imagine my joy when I stuck my hand into a machine and scored an unopened pack of tropical Starbursts. Yeah, the green pack. For a 6-year-old me, that was the fucking jackpot. Anyways, went back to my parents with my haul and they were a bit surprised, but hey, the packaging wasn't open, so they let me keep it. As we were walking out the community center, I recall seeing a very distraught teenager banging against the machine. It dawned on me a few years ago that he probably paid for the Starbursts, turned around to help an impatient parent, and then found out that his Starburst ceased to exist. Pretty sure I ruined that guy's life, and subsequent faith in vending machines. I was playing baseball in grade 5. It was my turn to bat. I missed the ball when it was pitched. In slight frustration, I swung my bat back in the other direction without looking. The ball ended up directly behind me after it was thrown. The back catcher had walked up to grab it without me noticing. I cracked him in the head, knocked him out, split his head open, and he had to go get stitches and was gone from school for a few days. Not sure if I can say it ruined his life, but I definitely made any future concussions he gets more risky. Dug a hole in my parents' backyard, got several feet deep, and happened upon a cable running through the ground. It was in our way of digging to China, so we cut it. To this day I don't know what it went to, but I'm sure it made someone's life suck. I dug to China, with a group of friends also. We got about 6 feet deep and one kid got stuck in the hole, so my dad made us fill it in. When I was 4 or 5 I was molested by my aunt, and it gave me a really warped sense of how people react with each other. I had this friend and I stayed over at her grandma's house with her. I decided to play the fun games my aunt taught me. We played these games until I was 6. Turned out I was outright sexually abusing my best friend. Years and years later in high school we sat down and talked about it. It really fucked with her vi on sexual relationships. She's very jumpy when it comes to it all, and I will never not feel guilty. Emma, if you ever see this, I'm still so freaking sorry. Wouldn't say I screwed someone else's up. But when I was in maybe grade 4, my friend told me that her dog got put to sleep the day before. I didn't understand what it was and responded with, "So? It'll just wake up." I still feel terrible about it, especially now having dogs of my own and knowing how hard it is to let them go, never mind trying to talk about it with a friend and them being a dick. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.